What truly defines a mother? Have you ever stopped to think about it in the deafening silence of 3 a.m., when the world sleeps and your deepest fears wake up? Is it the blood you donate, the genetic code you pass along like a biological lottery ticket? Or is it the silent sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the love that begins to take root long before the first cry? My name is Carolina, but everyone who matters calls me Carol. And I discovered in the most brutal, irreversible way possible that to the outside world, to the cold law of men, and to the people who call themselves good, traditional citizens, love is worth absolutely nothing compared to a single drop of shared biology. My story with Anna wasn't a Disney fairy tale. It was a daily construction, brick by brick, mortar by mortar. Over 10 wonderful and challenging years, we met in design college, two girls full of dreams with paint on our hands. She was sunlight, easy laughter that infected entire rooms, disorganized to the point of losing her keys while holding them, and possessed a strange, enchanting obsession with astronomy. She could name every constellation but forgot to pay the electric bill. I was the practical one, the realist, the solid ground to her helium balloon. We were the perfect balance. Our life was simple, but it was ours, full of cheap instant noodle dinners on Fridays, black and white movie marathons on rainy Sundays, and a love so solid it seemed proof against any earthquake life could send us. But one thing was missing. A dream Anna had carried since she was a little girl playing with dolls in the conservative interior of Paraná, being a mother. And, as with everything in our life, we decided to face this mountain together. It wasn't easy. It was a climb without safety equipment. The decision for artificial insemination was the start of an exhausting 2-year marathon that tested every one of our limits. It meant our life savings drained into fertility clinics that charged the price of a new car for a 20% chance. It meant endless months of hormone injections that I had to administer to her belly myself, my hand trembling, hating to see her swollen, sore, and emotionally fragile, but loving her courage. I was there for every moment. I held her hand in cold, impersonal waiting rooms, surrounded by heterosexual couples who seemed to have it so easy. I wiped her tears when the doctor, for the 3rd time, with that professionally sad face they train in medical school, said, "I'm sorry, girls. There was no implantation." Every negative was a silent warning for a child we dreamed of and lost before they even existed. But we didn't give up. Anna had unshakable faith, and on the 4th attempt, when we were almost hopeless and planning to sell the car to try one more time, the miracle happened. The positive blood test, the first ultrasound where we saw a tiny blinking dot, the sound of that little heart beating fast, a drumbeat that changed the rhythm of our own world. The pregnancy was magical, but also tense. Anna bloomed, becoming even more beautiful as her belly grew, but the shadow of her family always hovered over us like a storm cloud. The Bittencourts. They never accepted us. To them, back in the interior, I was just the friend, the bad influence who was leading their perfect daughter off God's path. They didn't come to our symbolic beach wedding. They didn't call when they heard about the pregnancy. They sent a dry email saying they were praying for our souls. One night, when Anna was already 8 months pregnant, huge and uncomfortable, she woke up from a nightmare, sweating cold, gripping my arm tightly. "What is it, my love? Another cramp?" I asked, turning on the bedside lamp. She was crying. A deep, guttural cry full of primal fear. What if something goes wrong with me, Carol? In childbirth, my parents, they will never let you keep her. They'll say you are nothing. I tried to calm her, said it was nonsense, just hormones, that nothing would happen, but her fear was contagious, icy. "Promise me," she insisted, her big dark eyes fixed on mine. "Promise that you will never let them take our daughter. Promise that you will fight for us, no matter what happens to me." She held up her pinky finger, our old gesture of unbreakable promise since college, something silly that had become sacred to us. I interlocked my finger with hers, feeling her warm skin. "I promise, Anna, I am her mother just as much as you are. No one will ever take her from me. Never." 2 weeks later, Leah was born. The labor was fast, intense, full of screams and sweat. Leah came into the world crying loudly, healthy, beautiful, with Anna's curious eyes and a tuft of dark hair. It was the happiest, most transcendental moment of our lives. Anna held Leah for 5 minutes. She looked at me, exhausted but radiant, and said, "We did it, love. She is perfect." Our family is complete. And then the nightmare began. The monitors started beeping. Not a calm beep, but a sharp, persistent, terrifying alarm. The nurse turned pale when she lifted the sheets. Blood. So much blood. A red pool spreading too fast. A sudden postpartum hemorrhage, uterine atony, medical words I would only learn later. "Code blue! OB to room 1!" someone shouted in the hallway. I was pushed out of the room, still in blue surgical scrubs, hearing the chaos inside, hearing my daughter cry in the nursery next door while her mother, my wife, fought for her life meters away. 1 hour. An hour that lasted an eternity. The doctor came out. He pulled down his mask. His look destroyed me before he even spoke the first word. Anna was gone. The love of my life had died. I clutched Leah to my chest instinctively, an animalistic, primal gesture of a mother protecting her young from a predator. Her scent, that sweet, pure smell of a newborn mixed with the faint antiseptic aroma of the hospital, was the only anchor keeping me tethered to reality in that moment of absolute horror. What? My voice came out as a broken whisper, hoarse from crying, unable to process the audacity, the sheer cruelty of that demand. My wife, yes, my wife, in every way that mattered before any just God, had been dead for less than 2 hours in the next room, her body still cooling, and they were already here to loot what remained of our dreams. "You heard me very well," said Mr. Giraldo, taking a step forward, imposing his massive physical presence over me as I sat shrunk in the hard plastic maternity ward chair. "We came to get our granddaughter. We are taking her home to Paraná, where she will be raised with decency, with morals, far away from this sick confusion you and Anna created." The word confusion was said with such disgust I felt physically dirty, as if he had spit on me. "She is my daughter," I said, desperately trying to put firmness in my voice, but I was shaking from head to toe, an uncontrollable tremor of shock and rage. "I am her mother. We made her together." Mrs. Irene let out a short, dry, humorless laugh, a terrible sound that echoed in that sterile hospital corridor. "Don't be ridiculous, young woman. You are nothing to her. Look at you. You don't have her blood. You don't have her name. You are just my daughter's companion. A bad companion who led her down a path of perdition that ended up killing her." She pointed an accusing finger at the closed door where Anna's body was still being prepared. If she hadn't invented this madness of having a child in this unnatural way, against God's will, she would still be alive. "This is your fault, Carolina. My daughter's blood is on your hands." The accusation hit me like a physical punch to the gut, knocking all the air from my lungs. They were using their own daughter's death, the most tragic moment of our lives, as ammunition to destroy me. This was a medical complication. "It could have happened to anyone," I screamed, hysteria beginning to take over, making Leah stir and fuss in my arms. "We planned her with love. More love than you ever gave her." "Don't you dare speak of love to us," Irene hissed, her eyes narrowed with hate. "You took her away from us. You took her away from her faith. Now hand over the child. We have the documents. Our lawyer is already arranging emergency provisional custody." Lawyer? They already had a lawyer? While Anna's body was still warm on the table? The coldness of their planning was terrifying. They must have been waiting for this, hoping for a mistake. "I am not handing over my daughter," I said, standing up, stumbling slightly, ready to run if necessary, even with nowhere to go inside that labyrinthine hospital. That was when their lawyer appeared, like a vulture emerging from the shadows. A man in an expensive suit with a falsely sympathetic expression. He was accompanied by a hospital security guard and an exhausted-looking social worker. "Ms. Carolina," said the lawyer, with a smooth, condescending voice that was worse than Giraldo's shouts. "I understand you are suffering and confused, but legally you have no tie to this child. The preliminary birth certificate only lists the biological mother, Anna Bittencourt. With her tragic passing, natural guardianship automatically passes to the grandparents, the closest blood relatives. We were going to do the unilateral adoption. We had the papers ready to file next week," I said, desperate, looking at the social worker for any sign of humanity. "But you didn't file them," the lawyer said, implacable. "And in the eyes of the law, at this exact moment, you are a stranger with no biological link holding a baby that isn't yours. If you don't hand her over now, peacefully, We will have to call the police and charge you with kidnapping a minor. You don't want the baby's first memory to be you getting handcuffed and arrested, do you?" The threat was real. I saw it in their eyes. They wouldn't hesitate to have me arrested in front of my newborn daughter. And if I were arrested, Leah would stay with them anyway, and I would lose any future chance of fighting for her because I would have a criminal record. I was cornered. No way out. The system was rigged against me from the start. I looked at Leah's little face, sleeping, so like Anna, with the same upturned little nose. My pinky promise was being broken hours after it was made, and the guilt was crushing. "I love you, my life," I whispered to the baby, thick tears falling onto the yellow blanket I had knitted myself during sleepless nights of pregnancy. "Mommy will come back for you. I swear by everything that is most sacred. This is not goodbye." With trembling hands, feeling like I was ripping my own heart out of my chest, I handed her to the social worker, who immediately passed her to Mrs. Irene. Irene held her awkwardly, triumphantly, as if she were a war trophy, not a baby. They turned and walked away down the white corridor, without looking back a single time, taking my reason for living with them. The funeral, 2 days later, was a theater of the absurd in Paraná. I went, of course. I spent money I didn't have on a last-minute ticket. I needed to see Anna one last time. I needed to say goodbye. They treated me worse than a stranger. They treated me like an unwanted crasher. I sat in the last row of the crowded church. The priest, a family friend, spoke at length about Anna. The court summons was a thick sheaf of cold, impersonal papers that tried to rewrite my entire life as a harmful and dangerous fraud. The Bittencourts weren't satisfied with provisional custody. They were filing a lawsuit to petition for my total removal of any family power over Leah and a permanent restraining order. The allegations were monstrous, cruel distortions of our reality. They claimed I had an unstable, promiscuous, and immoral lifestyle, unsuitable for a child. They claimed I had coerced Anna, who was fragile, into doing the insemination, even though it was her lifelong dream. They used the fact that I was a freelance designer to allege serious financial instability, conveniently, ignoring that I had supported our household, alone for 2 years while Anna studied for her public service exams. They attached photos of us at parties from years ago, taken out of context, to paint a picture of irresponsibility. It was a complete and meticulous character assassination. I had no money for an expensive lawyer. Our savings had all gone to the fertilization attempts, the private birth, Leah's trousseau. I was broken, emotionally shattered, and financially in the red. I called 3 conventional family lawyers. They all told me the same thing with voices full of pity. The case was nearly impossible. Brazilian law still heavily prioritizes the biological blood tie. Wealthy, respectable biological grandparents against the alleged partner of the deceased mother, without a formalized civil union, and without an adoption registration started? My chances were close to 0. "You need to prove you are essential to the child's well-being," an honest lawyer told me. "But she is a newborn. You didn't have time to create a social bond that the court recognizes above the biological one." "I am her mother. I felt every one of her kicks in Anna's belly," I shouted at the phone, frustrated. "I know, dear," she replied softly, "but the law doesn't know that. And this judge in the interior, it's going to be hard." I hung up and cried in frustration until I sobbed. I was about to give up, to accept that they had won through exhaustion and money, that my pinky promise would die with me. It was then, in a moment of despair, rummaging through Anna's drawers looking for anything that still had her scent, that I found an old card. Dr. Beatriz Alencar, a lawyer renowned for LGBTQ+ rights and new family configurations in São Paulo. Anna had attended a lecture of hers 2 years ago and came back amazed. "She's incredible, Carol," Anna had told me at the time, her eyes shining. "She's a lioness. If the world ever tries to take us down, that's the woman we call for the fight." I didn't have money to pay for a lioness of that caliber, but I had nothing left to lose but my own life. I called. I was answered by a secretary, but I insisted so much she passed me to Dr. Beatriz. I told my story between sobs, without filters. There was a long silence on the other end of the line when I finished. I thought she was going to hang up. "Ms. Carol," said Dr. Beatrice with a firm voice that gave me a first thread of hope. "This is the worst kind of case. Prejudice disguised as the child's best interest. But their cruelty and arrogance are our only advantage. They think you've already given up. I'll take the case. Don't worry about money now. We'll do it pro bono. worry about standing up and fighting. The first hearing was scheduled in their city, in Paraná. I had to sell my old car to pay for the tickets and the cheap hotel. Entering that courthouse felt like entering enemy territory during a war. The whole city seemed to be there to support the poor, grieving grandparents. I was the outsider, the big city freak. The judge was an older man, with an unfriendly face, who greeted Mr. Geraldo by name before the session began. Bad sign. Their lawyer was brutal, a true pit bull in an expensive suit. He asked me humiliating questions about our intimate life, trying to shock the conservative judge. "Do you intend to bring other casual partners into the house where you would raise this innocent girl?" he asked with a sarcastic smile. "My wife died a month ago," I screamed, losing the calm that was exactly what he wanted. "How dare you insinuate that?" "You didn't have a wife," the judge corrected me coldly, banging the gavel. "You had an occasional companion. Let's keep the technical terms correct in this court." Dr. Beatrice was brilliant, countering every prejudice with facts, laws, and jurisprudence, showing our emails, our family photos, trying to humanize our relationship for that stone judge. It seemed we were managing, at least, not to lose by a landslide. But then they dropped the atomic bomb. "We call witness Gabriela Bittencourt," their lawyer announced with a triumphant smile. My blood froze in my veins. Gabi, Anna's favorite cousin, the only one in the family who really talked to us, who visited us in São Paulo, who knew our plans, our fears. She was our confidant. Gabi entered the courtroom with her head down, dressed in demure black, looking like a younger, scared version of Mrs. Irene. She avoided my gaze at all costs as she passed me. She sat in the witness stand, trembling. "Gabriela," began the lawyer, with a soft, paternal voice. "You were very close to your cousin Anna, weren't you? Did you talk shortly before her passing?" "Yes," she whispered, her voice shaky. "And what did she tell you, Gabriela? About the pregnancy? About the relationship with Ms. Carolina? Tell the truth to this court." Gabi hesitated. She glanced quickly at her aunt and uncle, Geraldo and Irene, seated in the front row like statues of judgment. I saw Irene make a subtle movement with her head, a silent reminder of who paid for her private college tuition, who controlled the financial future of the whole family. Gabi started to cry. Anna told me she was regretful. She lied, tears streaming down her young face. She said she realized she had made a terrible mistake, that Carol pressured her a lot to have this baby, that she didn't want it anymore, and that she wanted to come home, to her real family, but was afraid of what Carol would do if she tried to leave. The entire courtroom murmured. It was the perfect lie. Devastating. Gabriela's testimony fell on me like a death sentence. The provisional judge, influenced by the revelation, granted continued custody to the grandparents based on the new testimony indicating an unstable environment and possible moral coercion of the deceased. I left the courthouse feeling like a zombie, numb with pain. Dr. Beatrice was furious, pacing back and forth in our cheap hotel room with moldy carpet. "They bought the girl," she said with absolute certainty. "That was a rehearsed script. We need to prove she's lying, Carol. Are you absolutely sure Anna never showed doubts? No messages, no audio, nothing they could have twisted?" "Never," I said, sobbing with frustration, thrown onto the bed. She was so happy, Beatrice. She was the most excited of the two of us. She was the one who bought the first little shoes. She chose the name Leah. How could Gabi do this to her memory? I returned to São Paulo defeated, with a new final hearing scheduled for a month later. That month was the darkest period of my existence. I was without my wife, without my daughter, and now my own love story was being rewritten by liars for a judge who already hated me. I began to doubt my own sanity. Had I pressured Anna without realizing it? Were her fears greater than she showed me? Depression began to consume me like a black hole. I stopped working, stopped eating properly, lost 5 kilos in 2 weeks. I spent my days sitting in Leah's room, in the dark, holding a teddy bear that Anna had slept hugging in the last weeks of pregnancy to catch mommy's scent for the baby. Her scent was fading from the bear, and that drove me to despair. I was ready to give up. Maybe Leah would be better off with them, I thought, at rock bottom. They had money, stability, a big family. I only had pain, debts, and a love that didn't seem to be enough. One rainy night, just like the night Anna died, I decided I needed to start getting rid of things before I went crazy. Staying in that apartment full of ghosts was killing me slowly. I started packing up Anna's books. She had hundreds. Astronomy books, classic novels, poetry. When I picked up a stack of old college books, something heavy fell out of a yearbook. It was an old iPad, first generation, with a cracked screen in the corner. I didn't even remember she still had that. I thought we had donated it or thrown it away when we bought a new one for her work. I tried to turn it on. No battery, of course, dead for years. I plugged it into the living room outlet, without much hope. Just thinking about formatting it to sell on some used goods site and get some money for the late rent. When it turned on, hours later, it asked for a passcode. I tried our usual password, the date of our first kiss. Didn't work. I tried her birthday. Nothing. I tried her mother's birthday. Nothing. I was about to throw the device against the wall in frustration when I remembered something she said once, laughing during a spy movie. If I had a very big secret, the password would be the most obvious thing no one thinks of, because it's right in their face. I typed LEA. The iPad unlocked. My heart accelerated, a nervous drumming. Why would she use our daughter's name on an old iPad she supposedly hadn't used in years? I started browsing, hands sweating. The camera roll was empty. Emails were logged out. But then I saw a different icon. A video diary app, something simple, free. I never knew she kept a video diary. I opened the app. There were dozens of videos, all recent, dated from the last 6 months of pregnancy. She was using that old iPad because she knew I never touched it. It was her secret confessional. My hand shook so much I almost dropped the device. I clicked on the last video on the list, recorded just 3 days before the birth. The screen filled with Anna's face. She was sitting on our yellow sofa, with the soft light of the living room lamp illuminating her swollen, late pregnancy face. She looked tired, with deep dark circles, but her eyes shone with that fierce, intelligent determination I loved so much in her. "Hi, my love," she began, smiling sadly at the camera, but speaking directly to me through time. "If you are seeing this, well, I hope you never see it. I hope we are watching this together, 30 years from now, old and wrinkled, laughing at my pregnant paranoia." She took a deep breath, adjusting herself uncomfortably on the sofa because of her giant belly. But I have a bad feeling. I can't explain it. It's a mother's intuition, maybe. And I know my parents. I know Gabi better than she thinks. I know they seem nice and distant now, but if something happens to me, if I'm not here to be the shield, they will attack. They will try to erase you, Carol. They will try to rewrite our story to fit into their small worldview. I started to cry. Hot, thick tears running down my face, wetting the iPad screen. She knew. She always knew. She was smarter than all of us. I watched the video 10 times in a row that night, crying, laughing hysterically, kissing the cold screen as if it were her warm skin. Anna had saved me again, even after death. She had predicted their dirty game exactly, step by step, and had left the perfect weapon hidden where only I could find it. I called Dr. Beatriz at 3 a.m., not caring about the time. "I have the proof. I have everything. We are going to win." The following week, we returned to the court in Paraná for the final definitive hearing. The mood was triumphant on the Bittencourt side. They thought they had already won, that I was there just to formalize my humiliating defeat and maybe beg for supervised visits. Gabi was there again, looking more confident now, without the initial guilt, wearing expensive new clothes that I suspected were gifts from her uncle and aunt for her good behavior in the previous testimony. Their lawyer made his closing arguments, a pompous speech full of poison about the child's best interest and sacred blood ties, painting me once again as the unstable villain of the story. When it was our turn, Dr. Beatriz stood up with a calmness that made everyone in the room nervous. She had no papers in her hands, only the old iPad. "Your Honor," she said, her voice echoing in the silent courtroom. "Before we close this case, the defense would like to present one last piece of evidence, audio-visual evidence that was recently discovered and that changes the entire context of witness Gabriela Bittencourt's testimony and the entire claim of the plaintiffs." Their lawyer jumped from his chair. "Objection! This is irregular!" "What surprise evidence is this that was not attached to the case files in advance?" "It is the voice of the child's own mother, Your Honor," Beatrice said firmly. "I believe that in a case about her daughter's fate, the deceased has the right to be heard. It is a living will on video." The judge, curious and visibly tired of their lawyer's arrogance, allowed it. "Proceed, counselor, but be brief." Beatrice connected the iPad to the court's sound and video system. The large screen above the judge's bench lit up. When Anna's face, pregnant and tired, appeared giant in the room, there was a collective gasp. It was like seeing a ghost. Mrs. Irene covered her mouth with her hand, letting out a moan. Mr. Geraldo went wax white. "And Gabby?" Gabby looked like she was going to faint in her chair. The video played. Anna's voice, clear, firm, full of love for me and contempt for their manipulations, filled the courtroom. She spoke about our unshakable love. She spoke about how we planned Leah every step of the way. And then, she spoke about Gabby. "I know Gabby will try to twist things if I'm not here to defend myself," Video Anna said, looking directly at the camera, and it felt like she was looking into the traitorous cousin's eyes in that courtroom. "Gabby, if you are hearing this, I forgive you for being weak and manipulatable, but I will not forgive you if you destroy my family for money or cowardice. Tell the truth. Honor my memory." In the video, Anna then did something I hadn't seen the first time because I was crying too hard. She held up a document to the camera. "I also signed this here days ago at the notary, without telling anyone. I had it notarized. It is a declaration of will and guardianship. I leave full and unrestricted custody of my daughter Leah to my partner Carolina. Anyone else who tries to take her from Carol is acting directly against my expressed and final will." The video ended with Anna blowing a kiss and making our pinky promise to the camera, an intimate gesture that was now public and legal. The screen went black. The silence in the courtroom was absolute, deadly. And then it was broken by an ugly sound. Gabby started sobbing uncontrollably, a hysterical cry of guilt. I'm sorry, Anna. They made me," she screamed, while the lawyer tried to shut her up. Anna's parents were destroyed, shrunk in their seats. The mask of loving grandparents fell completely, revealing just two bitter, controlling people who had been unmasked by their own daughter from beyond the grave. The judge was visibly moved. She cleared her throat, trying to maintain professional composure, but her eyes were watery. This court rarely sees such unequivocal and powerful proof of a mother's will. She looked sternly at the Bittencourts and their lawyer, who now seemed very small. "What you tried to do here, using your own daughter's death to persecute her partner, was abominable. You tried to use the justice system as a tool for your prejudice." The sentence was immediate and definitive. Full and permanent custody of Leah to me. The grandparents would have rights to supervised visits, and only if I agreed and when I deemed appropriate. Gabby could face charges for perjury, but the judge left it to my discretion. I decided not to sue. Knowing that Anna knew who she was punishment enough. I left the courthouse with the court order in my hand, feeling the sun on my face for the first time in months. I went straight to their mansion with the police and the bailiff to get my daughter. Mrs. Irene didn't resist this time. She was broken, defeated by the truth. She handed Leah to me at the door of the mansion. Leah was bigger. She had changed so much in that month away from me. But when she smelled my scent, when I picked her up, she stopped crying immediately and snuggled in, as if a puzzle piece had fitted into place. She knew. "She will always be our granddaughter," Geraldo said, voice weak at the door, trying to maintain some pride. "Yes," I replied, looking him in the eye without fear. "And she will know who you are. I won't lie to her like you lied about me. She will know the truth, the whole truth, and she will decide if she wants you in her life when she is old enough to understand." I returned to São Paulo with Leah in my arms. The plane seemed to fly lighter. When we arrived at our apartment, I put her in the crib Anna and I had assembled together amidst laughter and lost screws. She slept peacefully, finally home. I watched her for hours that night. I picked up the iPad, played Anna's video one more time, without sound, just to see her face while I held our daughter. I raised my hand and interlocked my pinky finger with my sleeping daughter's tiny pinky. "I promise, my love," I whispered to both of them, to the one in the crib and the one on the screen, lighting up the dark room. "I am your mother, and we are going to be okay. We won.